Hey guys, it's Mrs. Lance, and I'm going to be recording a lesson on culture traits and institutions. Culture institutions, okay? This is important because you are going to use this information to help create your project. Next week, you'll be starting a project where you create your own country. That's an island. And so I want you to please, you know, think about this, do the activity, and remember this for your project. When you create your own imaginary island country, what parts of the culture traits and culture institutions will your island have? Okay, so culture traits, culture, okay, is learned behaviors, traditions, beliefs, and way of life created by groups of people. So there's many traits to culture, different ways you can go to any country and you're going to see these different types of culture traits. Okay, the first one is going to be art. Okay, we have art from every culture around the world. It just looks a little different depending on what culture it comes from. We could think theater, sculpture, books, movies, any way that people express themselves. And then one that I'm sure, pretty familiar with is that there's different language, including dialects, that are different around the world. So even though there are many people in the world that speak English, we have an Australian dialect, we have British English, Australian English, South African English, okay? Same language, but a different dialect. Now, some of our other culture traits could be technology. It's any tool that makes life easier. It could be simple, okay, like a hammer. That's technology, right? It's a tool. Or it could be something very complex like a smartphone or supercomputer, okay? Anything that is used as a tool that makes life easier. Okay, so tools we use here in the United States doing something, let's say farming, we have a lot of gas-powered, diesel-powered tractors and such. There are places around the world that are using animals to help plow their fields versus tractors or farm equipment. So that's an example of technology being different in different cultures. We also have food, what people eat. Okay, we obviously know we can go to different restaurants and get different types of food, but also how people eat. Think of chopsticks. Think of, here in America, oftentimes we have our own plate. In other cultures, they have what's called a serving food, family style, where they have one large bowl that everybody eats out of versus individual plates. So think about how people eat differently and then how the food is prepared. And I have a picture here that probably looks a little different than what you're used to, the way you make your dinner. Okay, we have small fires or coals that are used to heat the food. Okay, no microwaves here, so this is probably an example of food and technology. All right, many ways to make food or different types of food to eat. One of the other examples would be dress. So clothing in different countries is going to look different for male, female, just what you would wear maybe on a special occasion. It looks like these fellows here have a certain outfit for a certain occasion. Also, jewelry, makeup, tattoos, and all of that's really influenced by their geography or weather. So when you start to think about your island country, when you are going to describe some of your culture traits, think about, is it an island in a colder part of the world? Is it an island in a warmer part of the world? Okay, we have islands in both kinds of climates. This is just a quote just to think about. Culture is everything. Culture is the way we dress, the way we carry our heads, the way we walk, the way we tie our ties. It is not only the fact of writing books or of building houses. All right, so our culture is really everything about where we live. Our geography affects it, as we saw. We have some other examples of a culture trait. Customs and traditions. So you might think about things you do at holidays. How do you greet people? Okay, if you go to Thailand, and I've been there, you're going to greet people like this. Give a little bow, it's called the Y. Here in America, you might wave or give a handshake. So different places have different customs. And obviously it can be within the family, it can be nationally, or it might be in a culture region, so a specific area of that country. Okay, oftentimes these are passed down from one generation to the next. And usually these are long established practices. That means that people have practiced them for a long time and they pass that down to their children, and then it is passed on again. One other way one other cultural trait would be recreation. Recreation is whatever you do for fun or to relax. Okay, so in different places, it might look different. This is a pretty American kind of example. Sports, games, books. I know in other countries, often kids, a soccer ball is the easiest fun. So simple, you just need one and you can play with a whole team. So not every place is going to love soccer though. We have all kinds of different recreations here in the United States. Okay. And once again, this is also affected by your geography. Okay, if you live in the mountains, you're probably not playing soccer up the mountains, right? So our next section is going to be about cultural institutions. Okay, now cultural institutions are still cultural traits, but there's something we're going to kind of look at separately. So cultural institutions are those long-standing practices. These are structures in the society, in the culture that have been around for a very long time. Okay, and we see them in every culture. Okay, no matter how complex or simple they are in every culture. So the first one is government, and you've learned about different types of governments, right? So anything to do with laws, leaders, economy, any way to make money, education, how we learn, and religion. Okay, so our first one, we've kind of talked about this. Questions to think about as you are kind of brainstorming what your island country is going to look like. On your island country, who's going to choose the leaders? Are you going to have the power with no one? One person? A few people have all the power, or all the people? What are you going to choose? Who's going to make the laws? Okay, how will the community create and follow rules? All right. So these are great questions, and I will give you your assignment next week, but this is just to get your brain thinking about how you're going to design your country. The next one is education. Okay, it could be formal. So formal would be like you go to a specific location, specific time, such as a public, private, religious school or a university or college, or informal. So it might be a homeschool, okay? Or if you are someone who chooses to have a traditional economy where people are farming and trading items, it could be parents or grandparents that teach skills rather than subjects. So think about it this way. If you're trading your corn for your beef, right? We have two people trading in a traditional economy, and they're trading each other whatever they have. Is a degree in computer engineering going to give you something to trade? Okay, so in this case, in that kind of country, with that economy, parents or grandparents would teach a skill. as their education versus specific subjects, if that makes sense. So in your country, how do people learn? Where do they learn? Okay, do they come together? Is it homeschool? Okay, or is it something less formal, such as parent or grandparents teaching skills? Okay, do you require children to come to school? Okay, that is going to be a choice on your part, but you have to have some form of education in your country island. Okay. Also, economics. So we have our 4 different kinds of economies. We want to find out on your country island, how will the community make a living? So think about their geography. Okay, maybe if it's in a colder area, maybe they have some snow-related jobs. Okay, we have some examples of jobs here. Depending on your climate, your geography, if you have mountains, plains, jungle on your island, that's going to help decide what type of jobs are offered. Now, who will make choices, on what you make, okay, how you make that product or service, or for whom the citizens can make products for. So these are all questions that come from choosing our economy, okay? Does the government have all the power on your island? Is it all of the consumers, the people, or is it a mix of government and people, or is it more of a traditional economy where you're trading? Okay. All right, our next part of our institutions is religion or belief. So think about, where do people worship? Okay, is there a location, a building on your island? How will the community practice their spiritual belief systems? Okay, now it could be an organized religion, or it could be just kind of a personal one where we don't really have a name for it, but people have their own beliefs. It's not coming from a specific organized religion such as Christianity. Catholicism would be in that. Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism. Okay, you get to decide what kind of belief system your island country has. Okay. And then the last structure that isn't necessarily in our gear, but is kind of like woven throughout all of it, is the family or social structure. Okay, so these are the members of a family within your home. In some places, like here in the United States, often it's really parents and children that live together. But if you travel to other countries, you can find that grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, any extended family will actually all live together. Okay, so we have different ways that our family or social structure works within different countries. All right. So that is your year, okay? Your different cultural institutions that have lasted a long time over history. If you click in the notes for yourself, okay, I'm going to give you a copy of this. You can click here for study notes. It just gives you some questions if you need help on the cultural traits or institutions. Okay, what I'm going to look for from you is that you fill out this. You're going to fill in your last name, and you're going to think about whoever lives with you, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever it is that you are spending your time with at home. Okay, what is the language that you speak? Okay, your family culture is what we're finding out. That's why we're going to put your family name there. What kind of music does your family enjoy? Okay, and I know some of the younger people might enjoy different music than your parents, but kind of think about together, when you put it together, what do you enjoy? Maybe a style specific or a couple styles. What kind of holidays or celebrations are important to you? What are the big celebrations or holidays for your family? What's most important? Leisure would be anything that you or your family do for fun or to relax. And then foods. And now you can think about like your favorite foods at home, but think about maybe some specific foods. Maybe grandma has a special, not grandma, maybe mom or dad, or you have a special recipe that is really treasured for your family, or something that maybe to do with traditions with food. Like my family